From the State University of New York at Fredonia,
I'm Pam Cuss.
I'm Elizabeth Roberti.
I'm Erin Slattery. And I'm Stephanie Thompson.
And our faculty advisor is Dr. Jack Croxton. And we looked at social networks based on emotion.
The purpose of our study was to determine the impact social networking have on people's emotions. The social networks we chose to use were Facebook, Twitter, and text messaging. We also wanted to see if the presence or absence of a picture would affect the different emotions on the various social networking sites. We also studied past research. Past research with text messaging included a study that studied the way that text messages can affect an adolescent's transition into college. Texting is an important tool for college students to maintain former relationships as well as to build new ones. The study also found that texting is the most dominant form of electronic communication.
Some of the major research on Facebook was highlighted, and they found that people who feel isolated in the real world turn to social media to feel included, and they also found that a higher number of Facebook friends is associated with higher extroversion.
We did research on Twitter and found that one study looked at the relationship between self-reported personality traits and self-presentation in social networks. They found that extroverts tended to create a more positive profile for themselves. Also, people with higher self-efficacy provided a greater profile detail, had longer contact lists of followers, and shared a picture that was more animated. And we also looked at research of animals in technology and emotions in technology.
We came up with 4 hypotheses. The first stated that social network of text messages will have the greatest effect on perception of emotion and the impact of one's own emotion. We decided that sending a message via text is the most personal form of communication out of these 3 social networks at hand. The second stated that the presence of a picture will create the most of emotion. We decided this because the presence of a picture will create the most emotion due to visual impact. The third one stated that text messaging with a picture will produce the most extreme response. We decided that this was because of the fact that it is the most personal form of message and it contains a visual component.
We recruited our participants through the SUNY Fredonia Psychology Department, and we had 60 participants, 49 females, 9 males, and 2 undisclosed participants. They took an online survey for this research. Our independent variables were mood, either a happy or sad message, picture, whether they received a picture or not, and social media, and we used text messaging, Facebook, and Twitter. Our dependent variables were the emotions that the sender felt and were attributed to the receiver. We conducted 2 separate analyses, whether the message was from an acquaintance or a friend.
The results for main effect of mood, we found that there's many significant main effects for mood when receiving a message from a friend or acquaintance. An example would be a receiver was happier when receiving a happy message compared to a sad message, and the receiver also perceived the sender to be happier sending a happy message compared to a sad message. This was the same for both acquaintance and friend. We also noticed that the receiver was happier when they received a happy message from a friend compared to an acquaintance.
We also looked at the main effect of media. There were numerous main effects of media for both friends and acquaintances. The results showed that in almost every case, subjects reported the strongest emotions when they received a text message opposed to Facebook or Twitter. With an acquaintance, this is true for every case. We also compared friends and acquaintances and found that overall stronger emotions were found from the results from friends. An example is the sympathetic.
Results found for the interaction between media and mood when the messages were sent from a friend showed to be significant. They were the most jealous when receiving a happy message via text. The receiver was the most sympathetic when receiving a sad message via text. Overall, the effect of mood was the greatest when the message was received via text. When the messages were sent from an acquaintance, the following interactions between media and mood were also significant. The receiver was the most sympathetic when receiving a sad message via text, and the sender was perceived as being the most concerned when sending a sad message via text. Overall, the effect of mood was the greatest when the message was received via text.
Some of our hypotheses were confirmed and some were not. Our first hypothesis, that text messaging will have the greatest effect on perception of emotion and on one's own emotion, was confirmed. Our second hypothesis, that the presence of a picture will create the most emotion, was not confirmed. And our third hypothesis, that messaging with a picture will produce the most extreme response, was also not confirmed.
Limitations with our research was that the extremes of the message was either I got a puppy or my puppy died. So this made it very difficult for even with the photo to have any major effect. Farther future research could be done with new medias as they become more popular, and they should be researched to see what potential differences may exist, such as with Instagram or Snapchat. Thank you.